All right. Let me share my slides and then we can proceed. Okay. Slide share. Just a second, please. Okay. All right. Welcome to this evening's leadership series. Today we'll be looking at career planning and management. Career planning and management. It's something that affects everybody at the same time. Everybody has a career. Whether you're a Palm 1 Pepper or you're an airport pilot or you are a space engineer, everybody has a career. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And I hope that by the end of today, we can, have a discussion on how best to manage our careers, to plan for our careers first and manage it. No matter your age, even if you're 60, you still have a career to plan for because there's life beyond that age. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. What is a career, looking at life cycle, history of career management, history of careers, the 5 steps for career planning, and then setting your own goals for your careers. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So what's the definition of a career? I did a bit of a research, and the best I could get really says that career is the sum total of all the occupations undertaken by an individual for a significant period of a person's life and with opportunities for progress, most importantly, to earn an income. So whatever you do that gives you an income, that is a career. And so when does your career start? When does it end? Your career starts from the day you start earning your first, not paycheck, your first income, to the day you stop earning an income. And what is an income? Income is all the remunerations. The word is remunerations you will ever get in your life. Whatever you do that you were paid in cash or kind is an income. Income includes salaries, wages, commission, interest, dividends. If you work in a place where they provide you HMO, it's part of your income. If they provide you housing, it's part of your income. If they provide you car or transportation, so there's a staff bus, that staff bus is not free. It's part of your income. So amortize it, and that's what you earn. So for the sake of this discussion, if you earn 100,000 and they give you HMO, and you found out that the HMO is worth another 50,000, you're actually earning 150. If there is housing involved, and that housing per year is 150,000 to live in that house, you're actually earning 300,000. If in the process they gave you a car and you amortize that car per year, and the cost of that car is under 100,000, you're actually earning 450,000. But what comes to you is 100,000. That's the cash you see. All the other ones are benefits you are earning, and those are part of your income. So what do you do with the income you earn? So sum total, your career is the sum total of all the occupations. Mark keywords there is occupations. We'll come to definitions later. Occupations, and that one is significant period of a person's life with opportunities for progress, then to earn an income. Keywords here: occupation, significant periods, a person's life, opportunities and progress, and then income. Those are the keywords. Keep them. We'll look at some of them later. Now, this is a story. This is a pictorial view of our life from birth to death on the average. So let's say you live till you are 100. The first 18 years of your life, somebody else actually looking after you. It's the time for school, for work, for basically for school to develop yourself, to develop into somebody who could start work at least the age of 18, at least, even though in Nigeria it's the age of 21 in the minimum, or age of 20 or 21 in minimum. But in Nigeria, from the day you start work, most likely NYSC, that is when you're employed. It depends on where you are. It could be from at 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So the earlier you start, the better for you, because that's when your career takes off. So let's say in Nigeria here, let's agree that we're not at 18, we're at 21. So from 21 years of age till the age when you retire, most of the time between 60 and 65, that's when your career span, that's your career period. So if you take 21 to 65, that's 44 years of active work. 44 years of active work. That's actually the lifespan of your own career. Now, what does this period represent for you? It represents the period where you should generally earn your highest income. Starting slowly at 21, most likely peak around 40, 45, between 40 and 45, and then slowly reduce. Except, of course, if you happen to find yourself in managing positions of a major company or you run your own company. But on the average, your peak performance is at 45, and then you start declining, which is what this picture shows us. So you start at 21, you quit at 25, you retire at 65. That gives you a clear 44 years of time to enjoy yourself, time to grow, mature, have family, have your children out of the house, then relax, as they say. But for some people, the plan is different. At 65, they actually just dusting themselves to get to work. Think of the two people contesting for American presidency today. One is 78, the other one is 82. And they are gearing to go into election to rule the most powerful country in the world. So really, why 65 may be the average retirement age? Most people work well beyond 65, especially if they are very healthy. Unfortunately, too, for a lot of white-collar workers, by the time you retire from where you're working at 65, and you haven't developed other skills, which is something we're going to talk about today, you haven't managed your career in such a way that it can divert you to other things, you would find yourself redundant, unable to do anything at the time of retiring. So you should plan for it. That's why we're having this today. Plan your career so that nothing catches you unaware. You own it. You own your career, and you manage your career yourself, not somebody else managing your career. I mean, companies have career management, HR manages your career. No, HR cannot manage your career. HR will manage your job, your position, can manage your career. Your career is yours to manage. Okay, so this is just describing what I've stated already. Between the ages of 1 and 20, other people provide for you. Between 20 and 30, you provide for yourself. Most of the time, you are gearing to leave the house, get a job, start your business, get your first apartment, get your first car, if possible, get married, if you're not married, but at least you provide for yourself alone. Generally, on the average, nobody really expects anything from you. Of course, except if you have a huge black tax waiting for you. But between the ages of 30, on the average, to 65, you are providing for not just yourself, you're providing for others. That's when you have your family, you groom your family, and the children get to leave home. That's a space of about 35 years. And so between that time, you get married, you have your children, they grow, you work. That's the peak period of your career, of your work life, the peak period of your work life. That's between 30 and 65. Age of 65 and above, if you've done well for yourself, you provide for yourself and still provide for others. Otherwise, you might find yourself providing for yourself and others providing for you, or others are completely providing for you at that age. Now, I need to reduce this. Okay, good. What is career planning? So let's look at career planning now. Career planning is a deliberate process of knowing who you are so that you can be sure of what you want to be, what you want to do. No, let me go again. It's a deliberate process of knowing who you are so that you can be sure of where you want to be. That's the first one, where you want to be, what you want to be, and what you want to do at a definite point in future. So 3 things here. First of all, 4 things really. Know yourself. So you have to study yourself. Then know where you want to be, what you want to be, and what you want to do at a definite time in future. That's career planning. So you sit down and plan this, and you plan it over your work life, over the 40, 50 years of your work life. You keep planning, you keep adjusting, you keep planning, keep adjusting as the time changes. We also get into that. So mark this, where a deliberate process to know yourself. First, you got to know who you are. Then know what you want, where you want to be, what you want to do, and where you want to be in future. Now, why is career planning so important? Why is it career planning so important, especially today? These are the reasons that we came up with. One, there's rapid change in the contemporary world. Our environment is constantly evolving. If you don't evolve with it, you'll be left behind. You'll get lost in time. Nature of work today in today's organization, the nature of work is also constantly changing. We hear of AI, the fourth industrial revolution, which are even true. We are getting into the fifth industrial revolution. Fourth industrial revolution was the communication age. We're almost getting out of that. We're moving into the fifth industrial revolution now. So the nature of work in today's world is changing, and you also need to change with it. You need to plan your career so as things are changing, you change with it. Work options. Now, the amount of work today, more than 50% of the work of the career options today were not available when I joined the workforce 22, 23 years ago. There was no data analyst. There was no social media influencer. There was no content creators. And these are serious career paths today. So it's going to keep evolving. It's going to keep evolving. And so there is a lot, the work options around you keep evolving. You need to plan your career to evolve with it. There's also the issue of diversity at work. There's also gender roles at work and in the house. Now, for most couples, both of them work. The father, the husband, and the wife work. So gender roles in the house would have to adjust. And so that's why you have to plan your career too, so that as these adjustments come, everybody will fit in. Career materials and resources. So what are the materials and resources you require? So these are the things you need to constantly think about and evolve with them as you go on. Now let's look at some definitions. There are words I'm going to use interchangeably today, but let's look at some of the definitions. Career. What is career? I've mentioned that before. It's sum total of all the occupations in one's lifetime. Career development. How to manage the many occupations over a lifetime. Career development. How to manage the many occupations over a lifetime. What is work? How is work different from career? Work is activities involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. Work involves mental or physical effort done. You have to do the work in order to achieve a purpose or result. Then what is occupation? I've used occupation before. What is occupation? Occupation is a person's regular work or profession, job or principal activity Any activity on which time is spent by a person is your occupation. Please know the differences. What is a position of an individual in office? We say he's at the MD, he's a manager, he's a supervisor. What is the position? A position is a specific function that you serve at a company or an entity. Then what is a job? A job is a paid position of regular employment. Paid position of regular employment. Now, why is career planning so important? Why is career planning so important? The economic impact of career planning on individual and family. So if you don't plan your career very well, it can have a huge economic impact on you as an individual and on your family. Remember, it's your career, the things you earn in the career that comes to your income. That's what determines how you live your life. And how well you live your life would be determined by how well you earn over a period that you work or period of your career. So if you didn't plan your career well, if you're not planning your career well, it will impact immensely on your family, economically, on your family and on you. Now, there's also an impact of full employment on the health of the individual and the nation. So if there's a full employment, one of the measures of how good a country is doing is the economic, part of the economic indices is employment data. If unemployment is very high, then the country is not doing well. If unemployment is very low, the country is doing well. If during your lifespan of your career, if your unemployment status at any point is high, there are periods when you're not employed, you're not doing anything meaningful. It's going to impact on you, on your health, mental, physical, social, economic, and also on your family. Now, there's a huge relationship between unemployment and social and physical problems. So if you didn't plan your career well and you find yourself unemployed, there's a lot on how it will impact you and physically, socially, mentally. Of course, companies where the individual staff careers, their workers, their careers are not well planned, tend to suffer. They don't tend to grow well. And then, of course, it can also impact on a number of people around you. If your career falters, the number of people around you would be impacted, because at every point in time, there are people you cover for because you are either the breadwinner or the supporting breadwinner, or because you earn an income. Once you earn an income, it's part of what drives the economy, and that economy impacts everybody around you. Now, if Dangote Refinery, I'm going to use Dangote Refinery as a case study here. Dangote Refinery employs 30,000 people currently. How many CEOs do they have? One. So this is the pyramid, job positions pyramid, or job title hierarchy. You might choose whichever topic. They have only one CEO. When you look at the vice president, they probably have one or two. Directors, maybe anywhere between 5 and 15, no more than that. Managers, maybe 10, 20, 30, max, maybe 100 managers. Remember, there are 30,000. So in all of this, you realize that the number is reducing. So if you enter the workforce as 21 and a company employed, for the sake of this discussion, 1,000 of you, only one person can become MD. Maybe 3 or 4 of you become directors. Maybe 20 of you become managers. Remember, you are 1,000. The rest will be supervisors and just workers. And so, and as you go high, as the years go by, you realize that people will drop off. Some people will get jobs in other companies. Some people will leave for one reason or the other. Some people start their businesses. So it narrows. So it becomes a pyramid. So at the top is very narrow. To get to the top is very narrow and very competitive. So how do you ensure that you are prepared to compete to get to that top? One, how do you ensure that if you don't get to that top and you have to leave, you can do other things? You can get to other companies. You can get to other career. You can get to other career. You can change careers. You can move to other companies, other industries. That is the subtotal of all of this is what we call your career management. How do you ensure at any point you're not redundant? Redundant to a point where you can't do anything, that you are always productive in one way or the other, supporting yourself, supporting the economy, supporting the country, supporting your family. So that's why this picture is very important. Realize that for every organization, there's just one leader. At the bottom, there are a lot of people, so many at the entry level. But as the pyramid goes up, it's only one. If you can find a pathway to be that one person, good. If you can find a pathway to be in director or vice president position where there will be 3, 4, 5 people, very fantastic for you. If you if you can get to a manager, that's also good. But if you can't, it's not the end of the road. If you have to leave at one point or the other, just make sure you develop the skill set, the mindset, the pragmatism to be able to move on, to do bigger things in life, and that is your career. Everything you do is part of your career. So at every point in time, prepare to be sure that you can move your career forward. And so there are 5 parts, 5 steps of career planning, and we're going to quickly run through them. Let me be sure I'm looking at time so we can take questions. We are ready. Okay, 5 steps. First is know yourself, self-assessment. Know yourself. The second one is you explore the work and career options around you. The third is narrow down list of work and career options. The fourth is decide or choose the best path and then set a career goal. So at every point in time, every year, even if you're fully employed, keep doing these steps you're going to do now and you will always be fine. First is self-assessment. Knowing and understanding of you, of who you are, so that you know what career is right for you and what you can do to achieve your goals quicker. So first of all, evaluate your attitude, your interests, your personality, your values, your skills, and then most importantly, evaluate the marketplace. Where do I fit into the marketplace? So what am I doing now, or what do I need to do to make sure I fit perfectly in the marketplace at every point, either as an employee or as an employer or as a self-employed person? Always evaluate yourself and be sure that you are fit for the next move. Second is your career and job exploration. So what's available in the marketplace? Matching and aligning what you want to do with the various opportunities in the marketplace. What are the options around in the marketplace? Where can I fit in to be productive? What are the opportunities, one, in the marketplace? 2, if you're already working in the organization where you work and the subsidiaries, how can you navigate it? How can you move? Do you need to change departments? Do you need to change subsidiaries? What do you do so you can move up quicker, faster to achieve your goals? Do you need to leave where you're working or what you do to other organizations? Do you even need to leave to other industries? Do you need to change career path to be able to move forward? Or do you need to become an entrepreneur? Do you need to become self-employed? Ask yourself these questions on regular basis, or yearly basis. Every quarter, do a review of what you want to do and be sure you are on track, so that you do not find yourself pushed into redundancy because you are not able to first understand yourself, know yourself, have skill sets, all the things we mentioned before, and be prepared for your next move. The third one is you list, at every point in time, list 3 to 5 things you could do. Have a diary, list 3 to 5 things you can do, and match them with opportunities and limitations in your environment. List 3 to 5 things you can do, match them with the opportunities and the limitations in your environment. And this will lead us to what I think we should pay a lot of attention to. What are the career paths you can have? What are the career paths you can have? You can have a steady state career path. This requires a lifelong commitment to a career path and involves steady, consistent, and sustained improvement in knowledge, skills, and financial rewards. So you got into a bank. I'm just using this as an example. And you're employed by XYZ Bank at entry level at the age of 21, and you kept at the point you did your master's, you stay in the same bank, you did all the exams and you progressed, you were promoted to manager, you became a GM, one day you became a director, you became an MD. Fantastic. That's a steady state work. Or you got a job in the refinery or another company, and then you're able to go up all the way to become the MD of that company. Fantastic. You navigate it. It's never easy, but you're able to navigate it. That's a steady state career path. There's also a linear career path. You are constantly moving upwards and steadily increasing your power and influence to manage others. So you're able to change job or change positions quickly, become manager, become supervisor, and then become a GM, have many people reporting to you, become a director, have many people reporting to you, but you're able to move quick, and you achieve your career goals on time. That's a linear path. That's also fantastic. It's a career path you can also explore. Transitory, constantly seeking for variety or independence. In this case, jobs tend to be short-term and mobility is generally lateral. So you are always looking to change. There are people, I'm sure all of us have colleagues, if you're not the one, who are always moving. You call today, he's in a different environment. Call tomorrow, 2 years down the line, he's talking to me, he's in a different, doing something different. He's always moving, always moving. There are people who are always transitioning from one career path to the other. So if that's your lot, that's also very fine. There's also those who like instability in a way. So there are always regular changes around them. Every 2 or 3 years, they're changing jobs again, they're changing career paths. Sometimes they can even drop off, can even spiral downwards. It's not a bad thing. It might also be an opportunity for you to build back up. But never, ever stay down when you go down. So there are several career paths you can take. And then the fourth step, remember we have a 5-step process, is to choose the best career option for you. So you sit down and describe the ideal job, have a personal statement, a mission statement, a personal mission statement. I think we've taken all of this before. Personal mission statement, just like the church has. Write out your skill sets or develop a skill set that require you to get to where you're going to. Look at the job requirements and make sure you are a fit. And then, of course, your qualifications, academic qualifications, make sure you have all the right qualifications so you can propel you in the right direction in your career. And then the fifth is set a career goal. This process will give you focus. If you set the right goals, it also motivates you to overcome the obstacles that will come your way to achieving your goals. In whichever career path you choose, in whichever profession, job, work, anything, there's always going to be challenges. It's your ability to overcome those challenges and provide value that will propel you to progress in your career. So in setting your goals, take these 4 steps, very easy steps, but take them. 1, have the end in mind. So if you're 20, and that's me to the next. If you're 20, think of what your life will be when you're 70 and plan your career along that path. If you're 30, do 70 or 80. So do 30 at every point in time. You're planning for 30, 40 years career because that's what we really have. 45 years in the minimum, most time 50. So have it at the back of your mind that that's what you're planning for. So what do you want to be? Where do you want to be when you're 70, when you're 80? And then so you progress along that path, you plan along that path. If you can't think of it, if you don't have the end in mind, then anything that comes your way, you will take, you absorb, and it will get you into a lot of trouble along the way. It will keep you unstable. But once you have the end in mind, it's easier to plan. So one is have the end in mind at every point in time. Plan for 30, 40 years ahead. Have plan for 30, 40 years ahead. You can break them into lots, but review every year. Review where you are. Do your net worth on regular basis, yearly basis, and know whether you're on the path to achieving what you want to achieve. At times, you might be on the negative, but because you've invested a lot. So would your investment see you the right result in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years time? So those are the things you think about in your career. Your career is a whole 50 years planning that you have to do. Then set ambitious, audacious, smart goals. I won't have the time to break smart into the usual, but I'm sure we've all come across smart before. Your ambitious, audacious, smart goals. Set them up. We can look at setting goals under time, but set your goals so that it will scare you when you wake up. So you look forward to achieving it. What you want to be is when you're 70, when you're 80. Let it be very ambitious. Let it be audacious. Let it scare you, but also let it be achievable. Let them be time bound and make sure you're able to achieve them. And so setting up your career goals, like I said before, start with the end in mind. Always have a 30 to 40-year career path. Break down into portions of 5 years. Review yearly. Determine when to stay on a particular career path, when to move from one career path to another, when to change a career path, and how to change that career path. Determine all of this. Always prepare for all of this on regular basis, and you will not be caught napping. Be prepared to accept the painful process of change and also enjoy the ride. Why I say this is because if you get into an entry level at the age of 21, 22, 23, 24, and the employer 100 of you, only one person can be MD. So a lot of people will fall along the way. If you happen to not be that one, that will be MD. Just prepare for that process and be able to sort yourself out. And that's why we're looking at this today. Plan every time to manage your career. Nobody owns your career but you. And this is my last slide. Take ownership of your career. Your career depends solely on you. Be your own leader. You can't have another leader. No other person has a say in your career except you, not even the company you work for. Build a pyramid, be part of the pyramid. When I say pyramid, I mean stand on other people's shoulder to grow, provide your shoulder for other people to stand and grow. This is networking. Network has a wide network. So at every point in time, you have people you are supporting and have people who are supporting you so that you can grow. But your career is yours. Nobody can provide you. Just remember this. I just put this there so you can remember it. Nobody can provide you lifetime employment. You can provide yourself lifetime employability. I'll repeat that again. Nobody can provide you or promise you lifetime employment, but you can provide for yourself lifetime employability. Thank you. I wish I really had time to share my own personal stories, but we'll leave that for another day. So let's take questions, contributions. Hello there. Is anybody there? Did anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. All right. Any comments, questions, contributions?
Well, I think, Daniel,
Can go
Okay, Daniel,
ahead.
your hand is up. Okay, just in that now.
Daniel, please, you please feel free to unmute yourself now.
Daniel, you can unmute yourself. Telema's hand is up too. Daniel, you can unmute yourself and let's hear you. Okay, while we wait for Daniel, Telema, your hand is up too. Let's hear you while we wait for Daniel.
Hi, yeah, I unmuted while I was speaking. I don't know if I'm being heard.
Okay, yeah, you can speak. I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, my question is, I don't know, what advice would you give to somebody that maybe due to some reasons at an early stage of the person's life, and the person maybe could not start off education at a good age, or and because of that it has affected the time person career was beginning, age wise. I mean, so like maybe the person is now struggling with, because there are some requirements that come into when maybe like an entry level where they put age as part of the requirement, and they are like them you cannot be older than a particular age, and the person is struggling with maybe current career path that the person is on, and the person is looking to sort of, but I'm just asking like, what advice would you give to the person, in terms of how you can switch or make into a different path?
Okay, that's if I get your question very well, what advice do I have for somebody who, due to personal reasons, couldn't get the right education at the right time and finish on time, and the requirement to start your career is 23 years in your industry, and then you can't get employed that quickly, or when you get employed, it's quite difficult. Is that your question?
Yeah, like there are some companies now that maybe in their requirements for like entry level or for a particular job positions, there would be age requirements, so that maybe the person what's it called, prospects or people that are applying, applicants should not be older than like 23 years, 24 years, and maybe because of the person's delay in education and stuff like that, the person is already way older than that and cannot like begin from an entry level, with the person's qualification, or with the qualification the person has, and the person is really looking to break into a particular career path. Right. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so most industries have age restrictions. Well, not industries, companies would say they want to get you as young as possible with certain amount of qualifications already. And some people will joke with certain amount of experience. Meanwhile, they're asking you to be 23 and have 10 years experience. But I'll tell you a story. There's a gentleman who retired a few years ago, somebody we all know, who retired a few years ago from Total, I think, yes. By the time he was 30, he hadn't gone to university. He didn't graduate. He didn't even go to university at all. But he did all the professional courses you can on his own, all the professional. So if you look at if he were to enter Total, he would, or Shell, or any of those oil companies in those days, the entry requirement was like 24 years. That means he's missed it. But he's gone ahead to develop himself. So self-development is very important. He went ahead, he took a job in a smaller company somewhere, and as an auditor, and then did all the exams he needs to do, got all his qualifications right, then got all the skill sets, developed himself very well. By the time he was turning 40, Total was looking for an experienced accountant, and he applied. And when you look at his credential and the amount of work he has done, how he has developed himself, he easily got in. So what I'm hitting at is, at every point in time, self-development is very important, which is why I say look at the market. So the age, you've already missed the age for one reason or the other. There are still other things you can do. There are still other companies that can employ you at 30, 35. Just keep developing yourself. Self-assessment, hone your skills, make sure you take voluntary jobs. That's one thing we don't do very well here. Take a voluntary job, volunteer to work somewhere free, but develop your skill. You know what you want to achieve. You won't be able to put it in your CV that you worked in this place for so time, and you have this kind of experience. Voluntary jobs, if you have opportunities for internship, don't ever forgo them as early as possible in your life and your career. Take all of those ones. Don't be fixated on getting jobs in particular companies or just industries if the opportunities are not there for you. But just go into a company. I'll give you another example. Chibuzo Bunna presented to us a few weeks back, if you remember. I don't know why you were here. He is the regional manager of Adova for Southeast. If you remember that presentation, he didn't enter Adova as entry level. He first worked as a station attendant selling fuel in another company. Then another company saw that he was good at selling fuel as a station attendant. It wasn't your everyday regular station attendant. He just wanted to get into the industry. And then from station attendant, and that company employed him as a station supervisor. And that company, a few years later, 2 years later, employed him as a station manager. Then Ayo now employed him as a regional manager. That's how he ended up in Adova. And today he's the regional manager for Adova. So just try to get into an industry or into a skill set. Like you want to be an accountant or an engineer. Don't be over fixated with a particular entry level job. I hope that helps. Okay, Sister Telema.
Yes, thank you so much for the response.
All right, welcome. Sister Telema, your hand's up.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm able to unmute now. I wasn't able to unmute before.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Thank you very much, Edaribe, for that insightful presentation. I think part of what I wanted to say is what you have already said, because most times when people listen to this career planning development thing, it always looks like all things being equal, this is what happens. But I just want to tell people that God has created us differently, and our career paths are also different. That you started school with somebody today, primary school and secondary school, that does not mean that everybody in your primary school and secondary school is where you are today. Some people might be opportuned after primary school, they get into secondary and they get into university. Some after secondary school, you see your classmates, they never would ever make it to university. They ended up doing something else, maybe skill. Sometimes you even see them as bus conductors or something. It wasn't because they were not brilliant or something, but sometimes life just happens and people's career paths just move. But just what I want to say is that concerning this career path and career planning, if you find yourself anywhere you are, like you have explained before, people should learn to trust God and believe that you can develop yourself and one day something will come up for you. Because I know that the Bible has promised us that the children of God will never beg for bread. And that no matter how long it takes, what I know that the prayer that we can always pray when things are not really looking like is going well in your career path is to tell God that in this situation where I am, what do you want me to do? Or what do you want me to learn from it? There's a lot to learn in the situation where you find yourself, so that sometimes God is just preparing us for something bigger and better. So wherever we find ourselves in career development or career plan, just keep developing yourself, as the guy said. Just keep doing that and keep praying and keep believing and trusting God. And that volunteering thing is also one thing I also wanted to say, because that's also another place of getting experience for job. to volunteer to do some things for people. Sometimes we always feel that when you do, you must get paid for things. Yes, we all need money. But if you volunteer, sometimes you'll find out that many people have volunteered. I've seen people in my office, they have degrees, but they just came as janitors. And when we were looking for where to fill in places, they ended up putting them because of their attitude and the way, they behave and they had the qualification. So things might not always be the way they seem. But somehow, if you trust God, I believe that we'll get what's close to or what we actually desire or even more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Tulema. At the right, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Nwigwe. Thank you very much. I was just thinking, because when people speak about career, sometimes the mind goes to a job, a profession, and so on and so forth. But I was not just thinking that, linked to what I think Daniel, his question regarding to age restriction, that given the given the challenge in the economy and so on and so forth, is it possible that people may find it more difficult to get jobs? And then while they're waiting, can they start looking for what I like the idea of volunteering, fantastic. I mean, it's a great way to go. But can people start looking for ways of being self-employed? And how can that be done? I know my brother, when he graduated, of course, the high hopes and all that, so, he couldn't get a job. But, of course, he had to, but it was several years ago. He had to do something. Was able to get jobs to lay carpets, interior decoration, and all that. Eventually, one day, after searching for a number of years, I just said, see, when someone, this already disappointed him, why don't you just, set up your own company? And that's what he did. Of course, the rest is history. So I'm just wondering that every applicant, maybe you can start, I pray that you get a job, which is linked to career, but you can actually build your own career. You can actually be self-employed. And let's start promoting that, because whichever way you go, even if you're employed by a company, eventually you need to, even it's a prayer that you have to resign at some point, because you don't want to be too old for you to resign. By the time you have, getting to, your late 40s, 50, just like you said, you just have to plan for your future, because they will fire you anyway at some point if you don't leave. You get to a point where you can't move on. So what advice would you give to people in terms of looking at self-employment, where we are discussing career planning, and possibly using the job you have as a training ground for that next step? Thank you.
Thank you very much, right. It's something I think it skipped me when I was, presenting. But I remember saying that your career is sum total of all the occupations that earn you an income from when you start, age 18, 19, 20, till when you stop, whatever time it is. But I want us to realize today, especially younger people, that you couldn't have been in a more exciting time when it comes to careers and jobs than we are now. On your hand is a smartphone. That's the biggest university, the most diverse university you can ever think of. It's also the biggest employer of labor you can think of. You could do so much if you develop your skills and use your phone, your smartphone, as a tool for earning instead of a tool for entertainment alone. Deploy it to serve you several purposes, including building your career, including earning an income. There is so much you can do with your smartphone, with a laptop, that several people today around the world don't even live where they are. They are earning good money And you can learn all of this on the phone. And they are free. Most of them are free. Most of the things you will learn on the phone are actually free. And you can apply them on the phone and earn an income. I mean, I know quite a couple of young people between the ages of 20 and 26 today who are earning thousands of dollars, and they don't go anywhere. They are home. They are home completely. So if you can start early to even build a company for yourself, the better. Entrepreneurship is another thing we should really focus. Entrepreneurship is part of your career. Somebody who is close to us, my brother-in-law, never really worked for anybody. In fact, he got a job and he left it after 1 month. Immediately he finished school, he started his own business. And today he has grown bigger, employing several people, you know. But at that period when you don't have, when your expenses is still lean, you don't have people who depend on you, you know, it's the best time to even start entrepreneurship. It's the easiest time to start because you can take a lot of risk at that period. So if you can and you have the mind to work for yourself and employ other people, please start entrepreneurship as early as possible. Find something that the market will accept, find something you are good at, and develop yourself along that line and grow a business and employ others. Thank you. Innocent, your hand had gone down. So I assume we've covered what you wanted to say. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm sorry for the little
Sorry, I actually
extra
have a
time we took.
question.
You say, okay, go ahead.
I'm struggling because I was actually at the road, and I'm struggling because I'm at the road, and I have a question. So my question is, why switching career path? How do you manage black tax? I got to understand that recently that there's something they call black tax, which was discussed on leadership section here. So why switching career path? How do you manage black tax? That's my question. Or why transiting through career paths? How do you manage black tax?
Okay, so I think it's even on a broader basis. How do you manage your finances? If it's not abrupt, if you actually plan your career well and you are the one switching yourself, you should have been able to have enough savings that would last you the period of the switching. So do you know how much you spend in a day, in a month, in a week, in a month? How much of your current earnings do you save for the rainy day? So how much do you keep away? What did you accumulate? What's your egg nest? How much of your savings, how much do you save before you decide to switch a career path? If you don't have enough savings to take care of you and your responsibilities, how are you living where you are to switch a career path? Except if you are forced, of course, and that happens very often when people are yanked off or fired from their jobs. Then you are forced to change a career. But if you actually plan your career and at every point in time you have a healthy saving, healthy investment habits, and you always have something to fall back to, then it's easier to transition and your expenses will be covered by what you have kept, what you have saved already, which is what Odokoma took the other time. Well-building measures, managing your personal finance, very important. Manage your personal finance very well. The greatest tool you have to build your wealth is your income. Nothing will fall from the sky. Is your income. How do you manage that which God has placed in your hand? How are you able to save? How are you able to invest? All of that will come from your income over your lifetime of work, over your career. So if you're switching, before you switch a career, how much do you save? In fact, even if you're not switching a career, how much have you been able to put away so that if you are fired, you are okay? So those are some of the things you need to. Questions, like I said, your career planning and management is something you do on a regular basis. Those are questions you ask. I think some other day we might look at how do you manage, okay, we looked at how you manage your finances. How do you plan a budget? We also looked at it, I think, already. Maybe you have a different experience on it, but how do you plan your budget so that you will know what to spend, what to save, and how to go about it? and then it can encourage you to switch your career. A young man I listened to today, he said his father is a medical doctor, that growing up, when he was born, that for a better part of his childhood, they were living in abject poverty because his father was in school trying to become a consultant. But when the father became a consultant, they never really moved away like from how they were living. They were very frugal. That the parents, his two parents, mother and father, were medical doctors. They were very frugal, and that he hated it. He was always complaining they didn't have the big cars, they didn't live in the big houses, they didn't do the big vacations and all of that when he was young. But he realized that by the time his father was 50, 55, his father could literally walk away from the work, and he did walk away and started to do other things because he had so much savings already, and he was able to cover the expenses of everybody in the house without having to work an extra day. And that then he understood what the man was doing. And so he was preaching the fact that you will need to live your life according to the size of your code, or even below the size of your code. So you can have investments, you can have savings that you invest that will take you and allow you to stop work early enough. I hope that helped.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? All right. Thank you very much, and God bless.